It's WWF Hasbro Series 5, 10 big figures, all with autographs on today's episode of Baseball King Collectibles. Hi everybody, welcome back to the show. I am the Baseball King, and this is another special WWF Hasbro Series number 5. In our continuing series to bring you every single Hasbro figure in my son's collection. That is, of course, the Baseball Prince. And to bring you along the rest of the way with the show and introduce you and give you all the facts and figures, here is none other than the Baseball Prince himself.
How's everybody doing today? Welcome back. Series 5 of Hasbro. All right, let's get right into it. There are 10 figures in this set. As he just mentioned, this is a complete set. It is one of a few in a row coming up complete. And only the second one I've shown you so far that is complete. Series 1, unfortunately, we're missing Andre and Macho Man. Series 2, we're missing a couple. Series 3, Series 4. All right, here we go. This is IRS, okay? Probably, and I'm going to go in order of what's easiest to obtain compared to what's a little bit harder on the not only for the figure itself but also for the autograph, right? So this is the IRS, okay, and he has been on the wrestling convention for forever. He's been signing forever, and this figure is actually probably one of the most readily available figures to get as well. Just to clarify one thing I said, that Series 2 I had was not complete. Series 2 is actually complete. So this is the second of the 5 series so far that is complete. Series 2 and 5. I'm missing a couple out of Series 1, 3, and 1 out of Series 4. Okay, so as I said, IRS. The figure itself, I did obtain the autograph myself. The figure itself's very easy to get. Probably an $80 figure, even in this wonderful condition. Of course, I'll turn it over and show you that it is JSA authenticated. Now, I mentioned in previous videos, Series 1 through 4, foreign cards. You heard me mention that a million times. American card compared to foreign card. Series 5 actually is, from my knowledge, the last of foreign cards. Now, and even Series 5 is rare to see them on foreign cards. It's the last series I've seen. Maybe not even all of them have foreign card figures, or maybe they do. But they're few and far between. You're going to see the majority of these on American cards, and this is the last series. I've never seen a Ric Flair in Series 6 on a foreign card, Tatanka on a foreign card in Series 6. So I want to say that this is the last series, Series 5, that you're going to see even foreign cards available. So anyway, so this is about an $80 to $100 figure, unsigned. He adds a little bit of value. This is a blue paint pen that I did obtain myself at a wrestling convention in Philadelphia. Okay. Next is the Mountie. I met the Mountie at the Wrestling Universe in Queens, New York. Okay, I had a few figures signed by him. He was a really nice guy. He was dressed in his full getup, as you see here. He actually even wanted one of the figures for himself. I said, next time I see you, I'll bring you one. I never had that opportunity. I would love to give him one of these figures, of course. I don't think he needs them signed, though. Here is the JSA authentication, and he writes, "The Mountie always gets his man." That was his little shtick. And also he wrote IC Champ, okay, on that as well. He was the Intercontinental Championship. He feuded with, I think he beat Roddy Piper for it, and he feuded with Bret Hart. Early 90s, he was, also in a tag team, the Quebecers, with, I think this is Jacques, so the other one may have been Ray. He was pretty popular on the scene in the early 90s. And again, a couple championships he did win. This Series 5 and Series 6, you see a lot of weird gimmicks coming up. Obviously, WWF at that time was known. Everybody had their own gimmick, their own shtick. You're going to see a lot of wild ones. Okay, the IRS is definitely no exception. And, of course, a Canadian Mountie with his accessory, his shock stick. That was certainly something that was a little weird back in the day. But that's what WWF was known for. Okay, next is another gimmick, so to speak. This is the Warlord, okay? This one, I did actually get this myself as well at a convention in, I want to say, somewhere in New York at a Hyatt, I believe. It was a big convention. Had a couple others, like Tatanka was there, a couple other 90s guys. Warlord, and at this point, they were trying to push him as a singles competitor. I believe he was in the Powers of Pain with Barbarian, a tag team earlier on. But at this point, they were pushing him as a giant kind of heel. I think even feuding with like Hulk Hogan, big names like that. Never went anywhere. Obviously, never won any titles, anything like that. But he was a huge guy, as you see. You know, the figure itself. He's a big guy. He signs it in a white paint pen. He writes the Warlord, signed on JSA authenticated on the back. Okay, just to touch on the Mounties value and also the Warlord's value, both in excellent shape. I would say the Mountie is about a 125-ish. Warlord about the same, and sign, you're going to go, again, the readily available signatures right in that 125 to 150 range. Now, again, more value when we're talking nice inscriptions like the Mountie, nice paint pens like the Mountie. The Warlord, little white paint pen, probably not my best choice. But again, the Mountie probably has a little bit more value for that reason. So next up is Skinner, okay? Now, Skinner, this guy was a alligator hunter, I guess you could call it, back in this was 92. He probably was only there that 1 year. He also played, Steve Kern was the guy behind the gimmick. He also played Doink, he was the second or third Doink. He was actually in the famous Crush versus Doink WrestleMania match as the second Doink. And he wrestled back in NWA even before that. In a tag team, I believe, in the 70s and 80s. He was a bigger name, but this is kind of the tail end of his TV days, at least on WWF. I'm sure he wrestled in the Indies afterwards. But I did not get this one myself. I got this off of Instagram, as I mentioned in Series 4. It was the same guy I bought the Ricky Steamboat from. Beautiful purple paint pen, signs WWF 92. Really cool. I got a JSA authenticated, of course. Same. You're gonna hear this value repeated a lot in this series. 125-ish, probably closer to the 150 with the signed and authenticated as well. So this next one is a little. Actually, I'll do this one first. This is Virgil. Okay, Virgil was actually I think probably the first one I got in person. I was at the Wrestling Universe probably about 3 years ago. I have a picture with him. It's gonna pop up on screen at some point. He writes Virgil WWF. I got a couple signed that day. Really cool guy, nice guy. He was always an interesting character. A lot of people have a lot of stories about him on the conventions. He was a kind of the bodyguard for the $1 Million Man. At this point, he kind of broke off into his own face gimmick. He was a heel with the $1 Million Man as his bodyguard. But by this point, he had his own kind of singles run. He feuded with the $1 Million Man, of course. Again, bit player in on the scene, but a big name for WWF fans. And of course, he, just like these other kind of bit players like Skinner and Warlord and those guys, he had made his own Hasbro figure, so he's got a claim to fame that way. Again, JSA authenticated. Probably this is in really excellent condition, a little bit more value than the others, probably $150 figure. And now that, of course, unfortunately, he's passed away this year, his signature on a beautiful card like this and a nice paint pen, probably $200. It's not going to be like some of the values of the guys that died 10 and 20 years ago, but unfortunately, because he passed away, the value does go up, and it's probably in the 200 range. Maybe you'll see some guys probably asking 250, 300 for it, but the right value is probably about 200 for this one. So this next one, and unfortunately another one where recently passed away in 2024, is Sid. And the reason why I'm showing you two, I have multiples of probably everyone that I've shown you so far today and another series as well, but I've only shown you my favorite one. The reason why I'm showing you these two is the starch difference or stark is probably the right word, difference in the signatures on these two. And some guys sign differently in different ways, but this one he has a written out signature, okay, not a script, and this one he has script. Now that you'll both see, and I got these authenticated on the same day. JSA authenticated both of them. They're both his signatures. There are documentations of him signing both ways. It's just the way he kind of, I guess he maybe, switched over at one point, or, maybe does, how he felt, depending on how he felt is how he signed, but he does sign in different ways. I certainly prefer this one, and even if it's a black Sharpie, still, for me, this is a little bit more of what it kind of matches his Hasbro signature as well. Man, Sid was a monster. Even in WWF, and obviously he was probably a little bit bigger in WCW, or about the same. He was a monster heel. He challenged for the titles and he won them. And he was big. Even against guys like Hulk Hogan, he feuded with, and he feuded with WCW. I would say probably like Goldberg and guys like that, and he beat them. And he was a big star in his own right. So it's sad to see him go. He's a young guy. He had cancer, but you know, we move on. Of course, that's life. So Sid, I would say valued of those figures, in the 150 range. Sid in excellent condition, probably a tiny bit more. Those are a little bit beat up, a little bit, and then signed right now again 200, 225 signed, authenticated and such. Four figures left. Two guys are alive. Two guys are deceased left. And for different reasons why they're valuable. This one is Hulk Hogan, and we don't gotta explain why Hulk Hogan has value. Hulk Hogan was the face of the WWF for easy good 10 years. Okay, he had just a huge run, championship after championship, holding the belt for years. Beating all the top guys that he feuded with. There's no one while he had his WWF run that he couldn't beat or didn't beat eventually. This is a sign that a really nice, I want to say red, maybe even orange, matches his bandana paint pen, and this is JSA authenticated. This figure is my least favorite out of the four Hogans. This is the last Hogan out of the Hasbro line, series 1, 2, 3, and 5. He has, he's out without his shirt on. He's got his just kind of in ring gear, I should say, instead of his entrance gear like you've seen in the first three. Probably the most playable of the three Hasbro figures when you obviously you have them out of the box. But for whatever reason, my least favorite. This figure, without sign, in excellent condition, is probably a 175 to 225-ish range. And sign, again, Hogan's value, even though he charges $200 or even beyond that, his value is going to add $100 to $150 to a figure. So I'd put this in the 275 to 350 range signed. It is beautiful. It is really nice card back. The bubble is clear and excellent. And it's a really nice signature with a nice pen as well. This next one is interesting, okay? Rick the Model Martel, all right? Rick the Model Martel had a nice WWF career. He was never a WWF Championship contender, always on the Intercontinental scene. I believe he won it a couple times. He feuded with Shawn Michaels, with Sherry, Sensational Sherry, kind of in between them. She went back and forth on who she managed in those days between the Model and Shawn. So they feuded. They had I believe, if I want to say a blindfold match at WrestleMania, which was famous. Really cool feud that they had for quite some time. That's when Shawn was first starting out on a singles run, and the Model really elevated him. So why is this figure worth signed a lot of money? Well, number one, it's on a beautiful card back. Really. No flaws at all. It's JSA authenticated. Black Sharpie, okay. Would have loved the pink paint pen to match his pants, his shorts. But Rick the Model Martel does not sign. He does not sign. You will not see him on any conventions. You will not see him on any private signings. I've seen him do maybe one in the last 5 years, okay? He does not sign. I guess he's wealthy. He doesn't care about the money, or he doesn't want to relive his wrestling days. He didn't get along with some of the guys. Whatever the reason may be, I'm sure there's a reason that is documented, but I'm not so privy to it. For whatever the reason is, he is a super, super hard signature to land. I, again, purchased this one. I was super happy to find it and get it. They're, again, readily available. I won't say readily available. They're gettable, I should say. They're not like a, super rare one, like one that's coming up to end this video. But as far as the living guys go, it is the rarest, I would say. Up there with a Series 11 living person that we will talk about when that green card series comes up. This is just super tough to get, and I'm, again, happy to have it in my collection. This, in excellent condition, is probably in the 150 to 175 range. He's a little bit tougher to get for whatever reason on a nice card back. I see very few really nice, excellent condition ones. This is one of them. Sign? I mean, I would value this, about $400. It's a super, super, super rare one to get. Maybe even closer to 455. I would pay, easily, all day on this, $400 to $500. So if you have another one, I'd love to obtain a second one. Let me know, comment, and maybe we could do some business. I'd love to get a second one, especially with a nicer pen as well. I'd love to upgrade this one. This is Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Okay, just to talk about Virgil and Sid. They both died this level last year now in 2024. Anvil, I believe, I'm gonna just quickly take a peek here. Died in, let's see, 2018. Okay, it's been 6 years. Anvil passed away. Really, he was a huge character. He was mostly in the tag. He was in the tag team scene, right? Never really a singles run. Probably deserved one, but in the Hart Foundation with Bret Hart to start Bret Hart's career in the late '80s, they won some championships, and then this is actually with Owen Hart in his getup right here. Him and Owen Hart were in a tag team. That was pretty cool. Or was it Coco Beware? Maybe all three. You know what? My memory fails me here. But anyway, he was a big personality. Very popular. Again, championships as far as tag teams concerned. This is signed in a beautiful pink paint pen, signed Jim the Anvil, and then he has a heart with an arrow through it. Really cool the way he signs it. Of course, I got it JSA authenticated. The figure on its own is an easier one to get. It's really easy to obtain in the 100 to 125 range, even in the excellent shape you see here. It's not a hard one to get whatsoever. But when we're talking sign, beautifully with a pink paint pen, which goes more with this Heart Foundation probably get up than this one you see here. 350-ish authenticated, $300 range easily. But yeah, it's sad a guy like that, died so young, probably in his early 60s. But that business took a toll on everybody. A lot of guys died young, unfortunately, and this next one is no exception. Gone way too soon. Probably in a lot of people's pick for their favorite wrestler. This is the Macho Man Randy Savage. This is Macho Man number 4. This is his final figure of the WWF Hasbro run. He was in Series 1. He was in Series 2, Series 3, and Series 5. Just like Hulk Hogan. 4 out of the first 5 series, skipping Series 4. This is his Macho Cowboy entrance gear wrestling figure. The least playable one, but for me, I'd say the most iconic as far as Hasbro's go. Of course, JSA authenticated. The figure itself and this condition is not the best, right? You have a lot of wear. You even have a little bit of a yellowing bubble, which bothers me. But find a second one. And we could talk about it. It's just super rare to have a Macho Man signed figure. Again, he didn't die that long ago. Unfortunately, he did pass about 10 years ago. But again, they weren't really getting any figures signed back then. They were more 8x10s, wrestling cards, and things like that. So wrestling figures were super rare to get signed back in that mid-2010s-ish time frame. So to find one signed, again, I haven't seen too many. When I saw this one, I overpaid for it probably, but I had to get it. I grabbed it. This figure in excellent shape, and I do have a couple, are in the 2 to 225 range. This figure, if it was unsigned with the yellowish bubble and the wear, is probably in the 125, 150 range. But signed is a whole nother ball game. Okay, you can get a Macho Man signature for $400 for sure, but you can't get a Hasbro sign for that range. This is probably in the $2,500 to $3,500 range. Let's say $3,000 easily. Especially authenticated, especially, even though it's not the best condition, it's still really displayable. Beautiful Macho Man signature here with Black Sharpie, of course. Yep, that's going to wrap it up as far as Series 5 goes. Again, we're going to see some, just like this one, complete signed series is coming up. 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm not going to say if all 4 are complete, but let's just say there's some cool ones coming up, some really rare ones coming up. This is the Baseball Kid Collectibles, and thank you for watching Series 1 through 4. This is 5. Please like, please subscribe, please share this video. It really helps. and there's a playlist going on right now, series 1 through 4. I'll obviously add this one as well. Binge watch them like a Netflix special. Binge watch them, go through them. You can watch them all within an hour. Like, subscribe, share. Baseball King Collectibles. I am the Baseball Prince. I will see you at Series 6. Thank you so much.